What's up, Chumbags? Welcome to the HQ. My name is Kandula, and today I'm joined by Nick Sivak and Austin Perkins for a new episode of Retrograde, our retrospective review podcast where every month we throw out 3 games on our collective backlog, and you vote on the game that you want to see us play and watch us discuss. Last month in March, we gave you the option of Beyond Good and Evil, because the second one's right around the corner, guys. Wet, and you guys picked the third option, Life is Strange, the 2015 coming-of-age supernatural episodic adventure game from Don't Nod and Square Enix. This is a very unique game, and one that I think there's going to be a lot of thoughts on. So far, we've talked about hyper-masculine games. We had Space Marine,
Duke
Nukem Flores, Duke Nukem Forever. And so this is a change of pace. And will this be the first game that we disagree on? We'll find out. But first, you might have noticed this episode is a little late, and it was out of our control. It was thanks to the powers that be, or the powers that BS, should I say, because Nick has moved in to a new place. As you can see, a glorious setup behind him. A few weeks ago, and until 2 days ago, he did not have internet. So, Nick, you're finally settled. This is a long stretch of time. We've been waiting to talk about this game. But first, how are you feeling about your setup? I can see it behind you, but are you happy with it?
Really like it so far.
Yeah.
There's
anything if you could go back in time and change?
Yes, actually. There's some extra shelves that can go in. There's I'm covering some power outlets that would be kind of nice to use back there. But
dang,
on the whole, I'm really happy with how it's turning up. There's a whole area off to the side here that you guys aren't really even privy to with this camera angle, but it's a really sick setup. So it's gonna be a very nice area to play games, a very nice area to discuss games here, but also a very nice area to record games because I have like a little mobile game capture setup also. So it's pretty sick.
To record the future episodes of Nick 64.
That's true.
Yes,
true.
Very important.
Yeah, the progress on the shows keeps going. We are actually, because we are running the show a little late, we already have the next month pick selected. You've already voted for it, but you're going to have to stay till the end to hear what it is, because this episode is all about Life is Strange. And Life is Strange. This game has been out for 11 years. It came out for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, also had obviously a life on PS4 and Xbox One, and then also was later remastered to the Nintendo Switch. I don't know if you call it a remaster for the Nintendo Switch, but it was released on the Nintendo Switch and remastered for the PlayStation 5.
Watching your gameplay, I would not call it a remaster. It looked like garbage.
It's a strong style, and I will say that in episode 2 of my playthrough, there's some technical difficulties, so you can't put it against the game entirely for that one. But that being said, if you're new to the show, every episode we start with a kind of spoiler-free not first impressions, overall impressions. We can talk about the whole game, but just without any context that spoils the fun, so that you can decide if you want to play the game for yourself. And if you do, or you've already had, come back, because then we get into the deep spoilers. We talk about the story beats, the details that people really want to hear us talk about. And then at the end, we'll have some extras in case we want to, have any final thoughts, anything that we didn't get to get out before. I will tell you guys this, because it's been so long, I have so many notes for this game, but I think they're all pretty harebrained. So we're going to find out, how to unpack it together. That being said, it's time to talk impressions. I mean, look, guys, first of all, this is a 15-hour game, and episodically it's about 3 hours, average about 3 hours per episode. To the people that played it in 2015, it came out in January initially, and then like 2 months, every 2 months until October for the full 5 episodes. We did not play it over the course of 10 months. We played it over the course of 1 month, roughly. So we'll start with Austin. Now, here's the thing. Before you even talk about Life is Strange, what's your episodic history? And for the sake of the conversation, ladies and gentlemen, Austin is limited to 3 references maximum to Dispatch. Three, use them wisely. No more than 3. Okay, all right, go ahead.
So yeah, I love Dispatch. It's probably my game of this year, which it's also already like been told at the end of last year that it is in consideration for game of the year this year based off of when it released last year. But yeah, fantastic game. That aside, I have played The Wolf Among Us. I have played the first season of the Walking Dead Telltale game. I have played both Tales from the Borderlands, with the first one being, fucking chef's kiss. Like, that's a masterpiece of a game, especially in this kind of episodic formula. And I would say, like, those are probably the ones that stand out the most. I'm sure I've probably played a few more.
Sure.
But this is my first dipping of the toe into the Life is Strange universe. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it was interesting.
Yeah, go ahead. You can talk about how was the first 5 episodes of season 1, essentially, of the game.
Well, so I jokingly called this game Marvel Presents 13 Reasons Why, and it really felt like that quickly. So overall, my biggest complaint with the game is pacing. I feel like, obviously, in a game like this where it's open-ended, you can kind of like explore as much as you want or as little as you want, and that'll, cause small ripple effects in the later end of the game. I felt like the beginning of the game was super like slow, and then it got like interesting, and then it got slow again, and then it got onto like a run where it was actually really interesting, and then the ending felt like it fucking dragged to the point where I was like, okay, I don't even care about the ending at this point, because like the utilization of the powers, it goes from being really cool when it's used in like short burst, and then at the end it's used so much that I'm just like, I don't care anymore. So it kind of like did too much for me at the end. But keeping it very general at this point, because I definitely have more thoughts on individual things. I gave it, I think, like a 3 out of 5, or like a 3.5 out of 5 on my, like, I've been keeping up with GG, which is an app that all 3 of us use to track what games we're playing. I think Nick kind of said he's doing this, so I decided I'm going to do it. Is I'm going to put every game I've beaten, and then I'm going to rate them and rank them 1 to whatever throughout the year. And I think this is middle of the pack right now. It is a better game than Duke Nukem and Call of Juarez. I can say that confidently with my fucking chest. So, yeah, I think in 2015, this game, I remember everyone talking about how good it was. And going back to what Cerise said, how the release schedule was every 2 months. I experienced that with The Walking Dead Season 1, but that's the only Telltale game that I did that with. And I feel like, especially for this game, that may have made it better, having that 2-month waiting period until the next one. Because there are some cliffhangers to where, like, I ended the first episode and I was playing it with my fiance, Brittany, and she was just like, at the end of the first episode, she was like, I don't know if I'll like this. And then they show like the clip for like episode 2. She's like, all right, I'm fucking in, So I feel like there was a lot of that going on. And like that waiting period probably would have made it so much like better, because it would have a payoff. Whereas like I played this in 2 sittings, we just had 2 like really long sittings. I think we did like episodes 1 and 2, and then 3 through 5. So
interesting. Okay. All right.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty average game by today's standards.
All right. Nick, do you have your history with the episodic games, and then Life is Strange specifically?
Honestly, little experience with the episodic stuff. I played Tales from the Borderlands, the first one, as it was releasing, so I think that's like the closest example that I have. But outside of that, I've only really ever played like one episode of any other like Telltale experience or like any other game that was trying to do an episodic thing. So I don't have much with the whole thing. It kind of goes against my, or like I guess I should say, it kind of goes along with my thoughts on early access, where it's like usually I just want to wait until the thing is done rather than the episode thing. Like episodes are fine for television. I feel it gets in the way of a video game more than it benefits.
Sure. So
video game.
you have you played games after the post launch, even if they were episodic, even if just like as one game?
Not many episodic ones, but early access games I have waited until release to play those. Yeah, it's funny that Austin said he gave it a 3 out of 5, because basically if I was going out of 10, I was gonna give it a 7 out of 10, which it feels like we're pretty much right in line. I think the game is inoffensive for the most part, as far as like, any type of, like I don't coming of age like high school drama stuff is really not a genre that I particularly enjoy. And playing through this, it didn't really change the needle on that. Like there's still like conversations and stuff that happen in this game where I'm like, oh my God, just shut up. Like move past it or whatever. So there's some issues that I have with that. But like trying to remove my own personal taste from it, I don't think the game is like bad by any means. I do think it leans more into story realm and narrative game than really like a gameplay game. Say what we will about like, Duke Nukem or whatever. That feels like it's more of a gameplay game than a story game. And
I played Duke for the plot.
Oh, is that what they're calling it nowadays?
Yeah.
The big golden balls of Duke's plot. I thought the game was fine. I would have hoped and was kind of expecting the powers to have more like actual gameplay to them. Like sort of like what Austin was saying, there's like bits and pieces and moments where it's like, oh, they're doing something cool with it, but then it felt like it was like immediately over, or like the way that you actually interact is just like, the main way that you interact is just holding the button to reverse time, fast forwarding it to, choose different, options and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to say that that's like a bad design. It serves the game fine, but like with the premise of being like, oh, she has these like time powers. Like I thought that they were going to do a bit more with it rather than just here's A path, here, rewind, do B path, rewind, do C path. So that I thought was maybe like a little bit underwhelming. I don't know if I would say it's like disappointing, just a little underwhelming for me personally. I will say, because choices are a big part of this game, there were a couple choices where I had to stop and think. It wasn't always cut and dry what I wanted to do, and I definitely had to, think for a couple seconds before I pressed the button, because I did kind of commit myself to not looking up like a guide or a path or anything like that while playing. I kind of wanted to let the dice roll and land where they land. So I did appreciate that. On the flip side, I also think that there's a lot of hidden stuff that the game tracks for choices that is not like communicated very well to the player.
Oh, like the amount of times it was like, oh, did you save the bird? I was like, where the fuck was a bird?
Precisely.
It was like sitting on a bookshelf.
Is that?
And I was like, how the fuck would I find that?
The one that I have, again, no spoilers, the one that messed me up was you didn't warn the homeless woman or something. I was like, where the heck was there a homeless woman?
Guess who warned the homeless woman? This guy. And I went and checked at the end, and she's not in the spot where she would have died if she was.
Gotcha. So yeah, like I think that, to kind of wrap up my general thoughts, there's some cool stuff here and there. I think the story is fine for the most part. I have issues with specific parts of it. I don't think that I would continue with further Life is Strange games, though, if that makes sense for me personally.
I don't think they're connected until the newest one, which is part of the reason why we put
the second to newest one and the newest one, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I guess we'll also interject here and say that 2 years after this game came out, in 2017, they released Life is Strange Before the Storm. I do own a copy now. I bought the Reunion collection or something like that on the PlayStation 5, which has all the games except the one that just came out in 2026. I have the games now, and it's, maybe we'll revisit them, but I didn't want to have that. And this is a conversation that came up while I was streaming it, of like Before the Storm apparently is a rather significant backstory. It takes place a few months, I believe, before the main game, and you get context between Chloe and Rachel's relationship. I believe that the whole game is the two of them. Again, none of us have played that, so keep that context in mind going forward. But that being said, to talk a little bit about... actually, I'll also say this because I thought this was interesting. So Don't Nod premiered like their debut game was the one before Life is Strange, and it is one that I believe Austin actually added to the list.
I did.
For Retrograde, and it was Remember Me. That was their first game, and
I literally the only reason I added it is because I picked it up. I was like, oh, that's a cool cover.
Yeah,
and then I looked it up to see how long it would take to beat, and I was like, all right, it's like a shooter. Oh, that sounds cool.
I remember seeing that on the shelves too. I just had no idea that it was Don't Nod. But after that game, it did not do well. It did not hit sales expectations or whatnot. And so a few years later, they had to get, there was a lot of shuffling around, and then they pitched a game to Square Enix. Square Enix rejected that original pitch. And then they pitched another game that was called What If? And it was the game that turned out to be Life is Strange, along with the name change and several other things. They also... I think Square Enix was the one that kind of suggested having an episodic release, which they essentially used to their advantage, because as the game was coming out, they kind of tweaked it a little bit to, I guess, gauge or based on audience feedback. And it also gave them more time, obviously, logically, it gave them more time to work on like episode 5 versus episode 1 and 2 and stuff like that. That being said, to get to my thoughts, this was a really weird game. I remembered back in 2020, well, I didn't know the date. I went back to my Xbox achievements and looked it up. But in June of 2020, when I picked up an Xbox 360, it was a long story. I'm not going to talk about why in 2020 I picked up an Xbox 360, but I did. And one of the games that I saw was like free was episode 1 of Life is Strange. So I downloaded that game 6 years ago, played through episode 1, and I was like, interesting. Now going back and, similar to how Austin played Life is Strange with his fiance, I played with Alexa, and it was weird going in because I felt almost nostalgic for that first episode, because I walked out and I'm like, this kind of feels like I know this place, and it added a weird sense of familiarity, and I think that kind of worked well for the narrative setup of Life is Strange. And narratively, I think it's very interesting because it has this idyllic small town high school, like this prep school energy and setting. And then it slowly has this supernatural stuff that kind of slowly seeps in from the background. And there's the end of the world that kind of goes in there as well. Definitely a game that is packed with things that it has to say regarding like suicide, gun violence, drugs, abuse. There's a lot going on here, and it's a little weird that, similar to how like Call of Juarez was developed by a non-American company, this is a French company that's making this movie or this game about that's very, very like, yeah, it's set in America and it's kind of the setting and it's important to the kind of context for the game.
You can really tell it's set in America from the bathroom scene in episode 1. Am I right?
Yep. Exactly, yeah. And that is really the big kickoff moment of the game. I think that's probably the hook that if it doesn't get you in to that point, you're probably lost on it. Now,
I think I literally said, "What the fuck?" when it happened so quickly.
It's Yeah, it's it's it really gets you into the action, and obviously you wake up. Like, even the start of the game is a storm that kind of she's dreaming about or prophesizing about at the start of the game. Now we're actually I'll kind of meander into my thoughts, but before that, obviously, look. The show is kind of like a party, all right, and if everyone's going to be invited to the retrograde party, right, guys? Yeah.
I mean,
no.
I don't. Truthfully, I don't think we would invite you.
Yeah, no. We weren't thinking of all of us going. Was that what you thought? 'Cause that wasn't what we were thinking.
Yeah, you need hair to get into this party.
Right. So, but other people can join the retrograde party. So, I actually thought
That'll
it'd be
pay off later.
I thought it'd be interesting to get a few different perspectives on this game, especially because when this game won the vote, there was a lot of people, and a surprising amount of people that were reaching out or saying that they were genuinely excited that we were going to play this game. So that being said, and also, look, this game is sort of, it's known for a lot of things. Obviously, we picked it because it was a female-led story, and we're just three dudes talking about it. So with all that in mind, first of all, longtime viewer, Retro, wrote in and said, quote, I played this game for the first time in 2017 back in high school. I had no interest in this genre whatsoever. Back then, me and my friends were basically that one meme, if it doesn't have a football or guns, then I don't want it. The game was available for free through PlayStation Plus back in the day, so I decided to give it a shot. And man, I fell in love with games that have an actual story since. I was interested by this reserved little character Max and got attached to some citizens of Arcadia, parentheses not Chloe. For the first time in an incredibly long period, I was playing a game that had me invested in a positive matter, questioning everything and, most importantly, make my own decisions, put my own thoughts and feelings into the character and story. I'll never forget that. For the next one, I'm going to try to give this a little bit of in character. All right. I think the perfect way to describe this game is a roller coaster. Before you get on the start, you're a bit unsure about how the experience is going to be. You get on and it starts, and you're a little annoyed with the buildup, looking at every little thing, and also the overlapping high school drama mentality it focuses on makes you think about the game. It makes you think that the game isn't going to be very good. But then the bathroom scene is like, the top of the coaster, and you're like, holy shit, it hooks you. And the next few episodes are awesome. I was really engaged in the story and figured out the mystery, who was good versus bad, and it got so exciting, I was thinking that I wanted to ride more coasters. But then, hold on, I think they did a good job with making rewinds during that time only happen when it really mattered, as opposed to small things that just add fluff. But then when you get to the last episode, this is when you realize that you might puke and you want this ride to end. But instead, you're stuck in what feels like the longest episode of your life. The last episode was the closest I have ever gotten to rage quitting a game. The part where you basically have to walk through the summary of the whole game while trying not to get caught. The constant rewind to figure out the right way to deal with the teacher and fix everything needed to be shorter. And it was really a shame because the ending of the actual story was strong, and I really enjoyed it. But because they stretched out the last episode so much, it really made the ending less impactful. Overall, I really liked the murder mystery vibe of the game and thought the storyline was good, but it was padded with too many rewinds, which knocks the game down. That's a
spot on Joey impression. Spot on.
Thank you. That was, in fact, Austin's fiance, Brittany.
It's funny because at first I was like, I don't know if Alexa would say roller coaster, and then you got to the point to where you said, this is the closest I've ever gotten to quitting a game. I was like, oh, she literally said that so many times as we were playing.
And then the last little quote is in fact from Alexa. It says, really engaging story that kept me guessing throughout. I really liked how it actually felt like your choices and had consequences, and the end decision was a good adaptation of the trolley problem. Characters are well developed, and I'm still annoyed that they tricked me with the teacher. LOL. Well, speaking of the teacher,
Fun fact: I called it from the first fucking episode.
Me too.
It's a very
honest. I have no way to prove it, but me too.
Sources, trust me.
We're going to get into the spoiler part of this conversation. We're going to go through I didn't, because of the complexity of this game, I'm actually going to go read just the description of the Wikipedia plot, and we're going to go through each episode that way. And then we'll cut in, obviously, about kind of how we feel about the different things. Again, definitely very crazy things about to happen. I will say generally definitely go check out the game. I don't think any of us hate it. That being said, to the game and to the rest of this podcast, trigger warning, there is going to be stuff that we'll talk about that could be crazy to some people. And so, viewer discretion is advised. With that said, let's begin. In October 2013, a 18-year-old Max Caulfield returns to Arcadia Bay, or is set in Oregon, to attend Blackwell Academy. She used to live there when she was younger. She left, and now she's back because she's in this prestigious photography class with the teacher, Mark Jefferson. Max experiences a vivid, catastrophic precognition of a tornado. A tornado is an understatement. This thing is massive, a huge fucking storm that is destroying a lighthouse and approaching the town. Leaving for the restroom to regain her composure, she takes a photograph of a butterfly on her camera, a blue butterfly, and then witnesses classmate Nathan Prescott shoot and kill a young woman in a fit of rage. In a sudden effort, Max develops the ability to rewind time and saves the woman, revealed to her to be her childhood friend, Chloe Price. The two reunite and visit the lighthouse, where Max reveals her powers to Chloe. Strange weather patterns and other anomalies begin occurring throughout Arcadia Bay. That's the first episode, essentially. And first of all, let's talk about the butterfly effect, kind of literally represented here. And look, I do have some theories. I think I'll save that for the kind of at the end of the game. But the one thing I will say here is I kind of liked the way the butterfly effect was used in this game in terms of how you see it and Until Dawn is kind of the reference that I can make very easily, right? So
Until Dawn. I played that. I completely forgot.
But that wasn't episodic.
Yeah, it technically is, because it's broken up into
sure, I guess
that has previously
sure,
on.
I can turn off the game, and every game is episodic if I go that way. But the tension from, I think, this game versus Until Dawn, because I do think this game has also a little bit of tension. The tension comes not from the just like, oh, my character's going to die and like I have to move on. It's more so like it puts that death in your hands, because it's like you are the one in charge of doing it, and it's really up to you about, do you want to rewind time to do something different, or do you want to just say, no, this is the way it moves forward. It changes the risk a little bit, and I appreciated that different kind of twist on the butterfly effect. Also don't know what the trend was. I don't know when the movie came out, but it was
definitely before 2015.
Well, no, but it isn't Until Dawn and Life is Strange both 2015? I think Until Dawn also came out somewhere around there, the PS4 launch. So yeah, I don't know what they were smoking in 2015, but man, they're like consequences. Okay, so there you go. Anything on episode 1 that you guys want to talk about?
I would say, let's unpack do we want to talk about Mr. Jefferson now or later?
It's the big thing hanging. I mean, we can go into it now, but yeah, the twist at the end of the game is that in the second to last episode,
change time here. Yeah,
the second to last episode of the game, you find out that Jefferson is the bad guy, and the game is definitely like right away. It's like telegraphing that it's like, hey, this he seems to be the bad guy, but then it kind of at times suggests to you that he's not the worst guy. So the one thing, like, it didn't necessarily surprise me that Jefferson was the bad guy, but it was more so surprising that he was the ultimate bad guy, I guess, because he's still having conversations with children, and very, very inappropriate conversations, and like, just because I don't know, I don't know, the context there, they laid the groundwork, I think, pretty heavily. So the surprise came from the fact that they're like, oh no, he's the Thanos. You thought he was Ultron, but he's the Thanos.
Well, here's the thing: is that the idea of a murder mystery, right? Is that, like, they will always wave the obvious in your face and go, "This has to be the guy. Here's all the reasons. This is the guy." It's never that guy. And truthfully, the game puts you in a situation where there's three options. There's the security guard who ends up being Chloe's stepfather, Nathan, who is snotty rich kid that Sri mentioned shot a woman that ended up being Chloe in the bathroom when we discovered our powers, and then the professor that we're talking about. And if you just think logically, they make Nathan the obvious choice, so you know he's not the guy. And then you look at the security guard, and they make it seem like he's weird by, being very hands-on in his job and having pictures of people, specifically of Rachel, who went missing.
Still,
in his
also
garage.
a weirdo. Like no one's really clean.
No,
they're all,
I don't disagree.
Yeah, they're all the little side distractions.
There's levels to the weirdness, though.
Sure.
His level of weirdness seems to be from a place of like, because they make sure to emphasize that he was like ex-military and like all this other stuff.
We'll talk about
so
his military experience. Go ahead.
But either way, they made sure to like emphasize that like they're making him look bad by like planting something in there that might like make him seem weird with the pictures of Rachel, as well as, is it Victoria? Is that the no?
Yeah, Victoria's the snobby one.
No, who's the Kate?
Kate's the one that almost jumps.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying, is that he had pictures of her as well right before that incident happened. As well as like he's trying the whole game, well, I guess the first half of the game, of trying to put up security cameras everywhere so that way he has eyes everywhere. And when you're in his house, he has a camera even in Chloe's room. So like definitely weird shit, but like it's
not
like,
to mention that he slaps her. He beats her for smoking pot. He's.
I mean, if you didn't take the blame,
I did not. I stayed in that closet.
Wow, what a fucking
much like Max's character,
dude.
According to some theories. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, in that sequence, I was trying to find a hiding spot in the closet, and a shelf collapsed, and I couldn't hide there.
You know,
you have to move. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, if fucking at the end of the episodes, this is just general, is I try to do an option, and then I'm like, oh, I guess it doesn't want me to do that option, and then I get to the end of the mission, and it's like, oh, you totally could have done this option. And I'm just like, fuck you. like that sequence specifically, I'm like, why wouldn't I hide? That makes the most sense. And I tried to revert in time, and it just kept doing it. So I was like, I don't care anymore, and I just let it be.
Well, my favorite was, logically, when you're trapped in a room, I went over to the bed, and Max said something along the lines of like, I'm 18, I can't fit under the bed. It's like, what? Like, maybe that's true.
The boogeyman lives
I'm
under
sure
there now. Come on, Nick.
You could find a hiding spot. I was just going to circle back to the Jefferson thing real quick, and I think it's exactly what Austin was describing. Like they lay it on so heavy, where it's like, oh, it's totally Nathan, oh, it's totally David, right? And not to mention the fact that all the students in Mark Jefferson's class are like, oh, I love Mr. Jefferson. He's so cool. He's my favorite.
He's
teacher.
the whole reason Max went back to that school. It's literally the whole reason. She even says it up to the point where he does what he does.
So it's like immediately once everybody's starting to do that, it's like, okay, this dude's immediately sus. Like this is like the perfect in to have like, oh, and a uh, Rachel, she's missing. It's just like, oh, this, young girl student, she's magically missing in this place that, all the young girl students like the teacher. Like, gee, I wonder what's happening here. So
the since Austin mentioned it, I guess I'll ask you as well. He said he played it in two sittings. What was your approach to finishing the game?
Multiple sittings, but sort of reflecting Austin's. Like I did 1 and 2, then I had my move, and then I did 3, 4, 5 relatively close after.
Gotcha. Okay. I had
but usually one episode of sitting outside of episode 4. I broke that up over 3 sittings.
4. I think the 4 is the longest one. I think it was for me at least. Okay, so it I took 4 weeks to beat it, as essentially as 4 Sundays and then 1 day in between. I just played on Wednesday. I played episode 4, so spread out. I think I had the best, most spread out experience, and I will say that it does help, even though it is just like 1 week to 3 days gap between when I played it. Playing it without, because I do think there were, especially like episode 4, where by the time I got it to the end, I was like, okay, I've hit my fill, and I didn't want to like keep on going, and that way I think I was I didn't get like fatigued from the game, which I think you could certainly get to, and also I think that little crumble of little tease it gives you at the end of the episode, it is better to like look forward to the next time. So if you are watching this, I would recommend breaking it up and playing it episodically, not just kind of going through it all at once or multiple times or multiple episodes at one sitting. I will say, here, episode 1, it kind of sets the standard for the rest of the game. The game doesn't look that great. It has it has very strong visual aesthetic, but it's almost like a game you have to squint at. Like, it looks good when you're squinting at it, but then when you look at it in detail, it just kind of doesn't quite work. And
also, don't look at their mouths.
Yeah.
Does not line the fuck up at all.
You can tell it's a 360 PS3 era game with
that
specifically.
Even on a PS4 copy. Even when I was watching 3 streams, it didn't seem good. And that's the remaster on the PS5.
It was
Is that how you played it? PS4 remaster on 5?
I play whatever the PS5. I bought the PS5 version, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. How did you play it?
I played it on the PS4 version.
I played PS4 disc on PS5. I don't know if it was a thing with my disc specifically or what, but like I was getting like flashing black screens during cutscenes. I was getting this weird like jagged line through cutscenes.
I did not get that.
There was one moment where I think it was in episode 2. I got a file name in the subtitle instead of the actual text and stuff. I was getting so many weird like little glitches with my version. And I was like, man, this is a real like jank thing here. But
I
didn't
have any jankiness like that at all. I mean,
oh no, so it does seem to be, it's the PS4 remastered. It just came with the PS5 pack. I was playing on PS5, so I guess that is what it is. But so go ahead, Austin. You were saying you just had no experience. You had no bugs or anything. Is what you were saying?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't have any jankiness. I was just like, because my copy's not remastered or anything. It's just the PS4 version. And yeah, I mean, it just, talking about the actual movement and like interacting with everything, the Max's voice acting annoyed the fucking shit out of me. Cause like there would be like everything's happening and I feel like there's almost never emotion behind it. Whereas like Chloe, who's, voice acted by
Ashley Birch.
Did a great job. Like that, you can tell that Chloe had like a little depth to her. Not I wouldn't even say that much. I still don't think like it was like an outstanding like voice acting job by her even in that, but it's definitely better. But I feel like Max throughout the whole game is experiencing all this crazy shit and it's just like, oh no. I have to tell somebody. Like it was just like okay. Like I didn't feel the emotion like as like the character saying something. I felt it as if I would try to put myself in her position, um, which I guess kind of made it a little better because I'm just like, oh shit, what would I do? Because we're controlling Max, so like, what would I do? Um, but yeah, like the movement, the voice acting, the art style, like none of it really got to me. Um, like I don't know, it's just an okay game. Like
I
it's just okay.
to connected to a point you made earlier, I'm glad that you mentioned the movement because I feel like the movement in the game is just sluggish. Like even when you like run, it's like barely faster than the walk speed, and I feel like that also heightens that kind of like pacing issue where it's like I I was trying to think about it, you know, a couple minutes ago while we were on a different topic, and I was like, why did I like the pacing of Tales from the Borderlands? And I think it was that a lot of those Telltale games, they kind of cap at like 2 hours an episode. I feel like they rarely went past. Whereas I feel like the back half of this game is like minimum 3, sometimes even longer. Like I feel like episode 4 is like a, I'm pretty sure whenever I looked at your stream street, it was like 4 hours. And I think that was pretty similar to how long it took me to go through that. And it's
Yeah.
like, I just think that like, when you have like a slow moving character and conversations that sometimes feel like they're going in circles, sometimes literally when you're like replaying conversations and stuff, like it just kind of like has this snowball effect where it's just like, okay, I just want to like see a different room or like
I
I want to move scenes here.
I also feel like Tales from the Borderlands, most of the spaces in which they let you free roam are way more confined. Whereas like we had the whole fucking school campus for episodes. There's a whole episode
Mhm.
where you have the entirety of the school, and like a lot of it is just like you're like trying to find like specific things, and so you're just like looking around.
Well, the entire school
Um,
is like a hallway. It's
yeah,
just a
but
there's
like
two
then it opens up to
hallways,
when there's like like the
swimming
pool
pool,
area with
and the locker rooms.
lockers and all this other shit. But like even though it's just a couple of hallways, as something as simple as going in and out of the science room that you do like 2 or 3 times in that episode, like that's just like annoying. Like, and I get that that's probably a 2026 issue where like I'm just like, okay, why the fuck can't I just like walk through? Like, why does there have to be like a cutscene every single time of like slowly opening the door? And just the fact that like anytime you interact with something too, like she has to have a comment about literally everything. Like it's just like, I do think this goldfish would be a really good picture. If only there was light I can shine on it. And then it's like, all right, turn the fucking light on then. Like
Mhm.
so it's just like small shit like that where I get like gameplay wise, like it's like saying, oh, like if you want to get this, then you have to do this. But I don't know. I feel like
Part of
less
that
would have been more.
part of that design though is really weird because and weird is kind of my the big word I guess for
Or
Life is
strange.
Strange.
One
No,
someone would
that's
say.
weird. Life is weird. It's that like you have a very linear game. Obviously, there's branching paths, but the game itself is pretty linear. You know, like how it gets from point A to point B.
I actually just while we're on that, I looked it up literally a few hours ago because I didn't even know if there was actually like several different endings
There's
or if it
two, I
was just
believe.
like the two. So like that idea of it trying to be like, oh, all of your decisions matter. It doesn't because at the end you have one choice or like
Yeah,
choice
no,
A or B.
I don't agree with that though, because it's not about like the ending. I don't think dictates the choices you make. Like, because you know what I mean. Like there's still like
Oh no, no, I'm
I could
just
go through.
saying.
We could go through the podcast, and I could call Nick an asshole, and we can still reach the end of the podcast, and it doesn't. You know how
No,
Nick
no, no,
feels
no, no.
about me is different, but the episode still ends the same.
The point I'm making with that is that like I think in a good like episodic like in a good episodic like all your choices lead to something. I feel like it shouldn't lead to like this ultimate thing, especially when um it's so like definitive of an answer because I don't know if we want to
we'll get to
that degree yet.
Yeah.
But like it's very definitive. Like the choice you make is very fucking clear what the circumstances are around it and what happens as a result of it. And both of them are very much like final.
Yeah.
And I think both of them for different reasons. Like I get it's supposed to be like an emotional moment and like really all the choices you made along the way were supposed to like build your emotion and to the point where that decision becomes harder. But and like maybe it is like Alexa said, a trolley problem.
I said that, she just copied what I was saying, but we'll get to the end when how that works out, because that was the moment I finished the game while I was talking through the credits. That was the discussion being brought up. But all right, so
but either way, going
back to the design, it's this a fairly linear game in terms of the structure, and I think adding all these sort of distractions is, dare I say, like the only thing that keeps the game from being like a visual novel. I mean, I don't see many things that could have. I think the story, by and large, could still translate if it was just a visual novel where you're skipping from one scene to the other and cutting out the time that's the actual gameplay part of it. You know, you could still have the rewind and stuff like that. But yeah, it feels like adding a lot of set decoration, and I think that is it's like this weird feedback loop where, yeah, you know, you have to have, if you're going to have the level, then we have to have other things that you can look at it, and when you're looking at it, it doesn't like okay, what happens when you look at it? You have to have some sort of a notice or recognition or reward for doing it, and so then it's like a one-line quip of like, oh, that poster looks cool, you know, and then we move on, and it's like that little stuff is probably I don't think you're really missing out on much by
literally the only
that
time that like the power is like used in an actual like meaningful way of like progressing the story. I would actually scratch meaningful from that sentence, is when you're sitting in the diner and Chloe's like, I don't fucking believe you, and then you have to do this like, oh, let's watch this whole sequence unfold, and then we're gonna say A works. Like this guy spills his coffee. She says you're a dumbass. This guy punches this guy. The cop, you know, screams out to his partner, and then a giant horn sounds like that pissed me off because there was like small shit that like I didn't even like.
The ant crawling.
Like they're like arguing at the table, and then she's like saying quit it, and then there's like two options. So I was like, it could be either of these. You know, like, but either way, like, I probably rewound like 10 times, maybe even more at that part.
Damn.
Because I was just like, I don't know what the fuck, like, they're talking about. Because, like, the one of the options was, like, the cop's partner leaves. I was like, how the fuck would I know that? His partner's not here.
No, he's that's a little rough on you.
I swear to God,
because the guy, you can hear like there's a thing comes
on. There's a radio.
Yeah, no, and then you can look out the window and you can see the cops got like his partner drive out of the.
Looking out the window. It's fucking showing me
it's the game. You can just look left and you see the car zip out of the fucking parking lot.
This right here proves the point that it's a hindrance to some degree.
Well,
that, like,
sure, but I you know, also play the game. That would help.
I did fucking play the game. I actually played it, went back and platinumed it.
I saw the guy fucking leaving. But speaking of, so the next day, Max's class is disrupted when Kate Marsh, a fellow student who's been bullied over a viral video depicting her kissing several students at a party, attempts to suicide by jumping from the roof of the girls' dormitory. After rewinding time and reaching the roof, Max either saves or fails to convince her not to jump. Would you get this? Is, I think, the first big point of the game, because I think that episode, again, this all blur, but I think the second episode starts with waking up in Chloe and
Chloe's room.
Yeah, Chloe's room. You go, you know, kind of look around the house a little bit, and then I think because then at this point you've told Chloe about the fact that you have powers. You do a little test in the diner.
No. Before
that's at the end of episode 1, I think. The beginning of 2, you wake up back in the girls' dorm and you go talk to Kate, who's like super depressed.
Sure. Yeah. So How did it go with Kate for you guys? Because this, you're sitting in class, and then in Mr. Jefferson's class of all things, and a kid just goes, "You guys got to see what's going on at the girls' dorm," and then the class kind of just leaves to see and you turn the corner, and Kate is at the top of the dorm, ready to jump, and this is where she goes and stops time.
We kind of just went off the rails and just didn't really talk about episode 1.
Yeah.
But like a point in episode 1 that I do want to bring up, because it kind of ties into like a whole idea I have of this school is the shittiest school ever. Like, you literally, so in episode 1, because we didn't talk about it, Nathan shoots Chloe in the bathroom, and we see it. We know he has a gun. We tell, like, I told the fucking principal, this dude has a gun. And he's like, you're a fucking liar. And why would you lie about someone having a gun? That's super serious. You could get expelled for this. And then, like, later on, you can find, like, an email where it's, like, the principal talking to Nathan, or it's, like, it's a letter, or it's something. And he's just like, oh, like, I'm so sorry to hear about these false accusations that were brought against your son, and I will never let this thing happen again, blah, blah, blah. Like, just, like, standard shit. And then that fucking happens, and, like, you could clearly tell that she's going through shit, and, like, no one fucking says anything until we do this sequence.
Yeah. So, I mean, go ahead. How did it work out for both of you guys?
So, for me, I, was
and feel free to give the stats if you have it pulled up.
I do have them for the first 2 episodes. I wasn't able to get them for the last 3 because of the internet situation. But, each time I was talking to Kate throughout the thing, I was trying to be like, supportive. The one thing was she was kind of pushing to go after Nathan. But
and you told her, wait.
Like, hey, we need to wait for proof.
Yeah, I did too.
That's the most, like, logical kind of thing. That's also why in episode 1, I didn't tell the principal about the gun. Because I felt like Max was, like, trying to figure things out and was like, I'm not going to, like, call myself out, like, immediately starting at the school again. So
I was like, fuck that. I told him right away. And he called me a fucking liar right to my face.
I was talking to Kate, and also at this point, we're still, like, pretty freshly reunited with Chloe. Yeah. And I kind of thought that Chloe was just kind of acting like an asshole most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so
she is a fucking asshole. No, Chloe's a shit fucking friend the whole fucking game. But that, we'll get to that later. Yeah.
When it gets to the part where, like, you're going with Chloe and Kate's calling and you have the choice to answer the phone, it's like, of course I'm going to answer the phone. Like,
and Chloe's like, what the fuck? I guess I don't matter to you anymore.
Yeah, that was specifically a part where I was like, okay, like, come on now. Like, this writing is, like, not doing them any favors, like, with how the story was going. But I told her to wait for more proof. Apparently that was 68% of players selected that.
Sure.
I did answer the call, which was 79%. Later on, you get the scene in the junkyard, and Frank comes to get the money.
You give him the gun or you don't?
Did you try to shoot him?
I did not try to shoot him. Frank.
Okay, so far me and Nick are aligned on our choices in this episode.
I did manage to save Kate's life on the roof.
Yeah.
And I thought it was, like, kind of interesting that it's like it's really dependent on other information that you find through exploring. I feel like that was the one moment in the game that, like, kind of the different parts clicked, where it's like you can make the mention of Kate's dad, and it's like, I think you only find out about that if you read letter, like, one document in that room.
Yeah, so, it's a postcard that she got from her dad that just, like, says, I still love you, or something like that.
So I thought that was, like, a moment in the game where it did all kind of click. The thing that I don't think clicked is, like, from that point on, Max is so concerned about her powers not being infinite or whatever, but, like, I feel like that just doesn't come back around again. You can always use the powers. There's no, like, restriction on it. There's, like, an in-universe restriction where, like, if you hold it, she gets, like, the nosebleed or whatever, but there's not, like, a gameplay impact to that. I feel like if it's, like, from that point on, you only have, like, a fixed number of replays or something, that might have done something a bit different. It might give you, like, a little bit more pressure to, like, analyze your scene before you make a decision, if that makes sense. But
yeah, I think the only restriction
was
is
just
really
a-
that you have a certain time you can go back. But
Yeah.
usually, if you decide right
Sure.
after a thing, you can go back to the start of the conversation. But it's
This
like a certain.
sequence,
Yeah, go ahead.
this sequence also introduced something about her power that really pissed me off. Because obviously her power is the ability to go back in time. But why does she remain in the same physical spot that she is at the time of reverting the time? How does that
That's some
make any
Zack
fucking
Snyder.
sense?
I remember Zack Snyder talking about this when he's talking about teleporting in the Justice League movies, and he's like, if you think about it, if you move back in time, and then you're just like blip, or you teleport back in time, you just blip in out of existence. You're in the middle of space. Because the planet is moving and you've somehow reversed time, but you're not there. Yeah, there's a lot of weird fuck shittery goes on.
I just chalked that up
It's
to
just
game design
Yeah.
convenience.
Yeah.
Oh no, 100%. But I'm just saying, like, because the idea of time travel pisses me off in so many like different mediums because the idea of it doesn't make sense. I think the only one that has done it correctly is DC with the Flashpoint paradox. I feel like that is the only acceptable. And if you want to talk about Back to the Future, also a lot of problems, but it's at least well done. But like time travel as a whole is bullshit. And I think in this game, the idea of like in that sequence, like if she's like starting to move and like goes the jump, you just revert, and then you're just that much closer to her, even though you were not there when she was just talking to you like a second ago. Like I feel like I would be freaked the fuck out if I was in that situation, going like, "Holy shit, how the fuck did you just teleport like 10 more feet in front of me?"
Mhm.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have one more choice here because this is my prove it moment here from earlier. You at the end you get to choose who to blame,
Mhm.
Mr. Jefferson, Nathan, or David Madsen. I went with Jefferson, and 17% of players
Dang.
voted that way, and I was like,
So here's
"Dang."
what's funny about that. I did blame Nathan in that moment because I was blaming him because it was all about Kate specifically. And I think that happened at his party, and it seemed more likely that he would be the one posting a video like that. Like because he just seemed more like the type. Where I do think even with the information that we get about Jefferson later on, I feel like he would be way smarter to not publicly post something like that.
in
You
in
know,
my I was gonna say in my like playthrough, because like you mentioned earlier, I think we all mentioned it, how like us inserting ourselves into Max to make the choices. I think that in that moment, I did play out each conversation to see where they were going, but in my head canon of that moment, Max is trying to get proof against Nathan and didn't want to call the hand too early. She also was already kind of in hot water with David and
the
probably
security
didn't want
guard,
to
yeah.
exacerbate that even further. And right prior to Kate going up on the roof, Max saw her walking away from Jefferson crying. And so like that was the only kind of choice in my mind that was like, well, she saw that. She has firsthand like evidence that
Mhm.
that was something that happened, even if he does get in trouble for it or whatever. Like that was something that she could reliably like get behind in the moment.
Um,
I guess that's true.
so yeah, I think we all saved Kate, and to me,
Mhm.
I think the
Would be interested to know if you don't save her.
well,
what happens?
you don't get the help from her, and you like there's a scene later where you go to the hospital. That part's cut out as well.
Mhm.
I believe those are the two kind of significant changes to not having saved Kate.
Yeah, but I feel like there's so many like dialogue choices and stuff, or like just conversations you have with people later on after this point that they're like, wow, the fucking hero of Blackwell.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like so I
it's the
feel
talk
like
of the
it was
town.
like honestly, until I brought up my choices to like check them, I didn't even think that not saving Kate was an option because it seemed like it was so ingrained in the rest of the story that I feel like all three of us saved her, so I feel like we all kind of had that experience. Um, so I
I
don't
mean,
know. I feel like
it's
that would have
pretty.
made.
It shows its hand pretty easily because it's like literally will go, oh yeah, you answered my phone call. Thank you so much. But you told me not to tell Nathan. I can't forgive you for that. But I guess you still care about me. And so like it really does, like you can feel the almost like the puzzle pieces being put together in front of you to form the dialogue.
And you know what's interesting? 44% of people didn't save her. So like
Yeah.
it was almost a 50-50 split, which
Yeah.
is wild to me because everything else I think is a lot more of a leap, right? Because
I think they're
I
pretty.
guess that's just telling.
Yeah, no, I think they're pretty. There's some radical choices that are kind of very polarizing, but by and large, it's pretty evenly split. I think distributed. I will say though, while we're talking about it, that the game has this, despite its art being a little like the actual graphics, perhaps not being that high fidelity, it has a cool presentation. It's in terms of it sort of has a 2015 indie film vibe, which is to say that it has these handheld shots. It can really linger on shots if you go and lay down in bed or sit on a sofa. It's just like, all right, here you go. You just vibe for a bit. I think the
There's
start
been
of
a few
episode
times
2.
where I thought, yeah, it was just like cutscenes.
Yeah, the start of episode 2. If you don't touch your controller, it just keeps playing. And so, yeah, there's certain things like that that I enjoyed. I don't think the music was particularly to my style, but that being said, I think that it fits the character of Max. Like I could see, I know people like Max in real life that would have been like, yeah, this is it. This speaks to me. Now continuing on after the incident with Kate. Following the incident, Max resolves to uncover what happened to Kate and to Chloe's missing friend, Rachel Amber. That night, Max and Chloe break into the principal's office, discovering evidence that implicates Nathan. First of all, this part was crazy to me because it's like, yeah, they make a fucking pipe bomb to get into the principal's office, and
then they continued the dumb shit. She went back in time, and now she's on the other side of the fucking door to where she doesn't need the pipe bomb anymore.
Yeah,
stupid.
Yeah. And that's how she opens the door for Chloe. And this is also again where you find out that the principal's corrupt. I mean, he's corrupt. It's the thing, and I'm also reading the Jack Reacher novel, which also has a similar theme of the rich guys own small American town, and so the school's being funded by Nathan's dad, and so they kind of push a lot of things under the rug to kind of move on past it to not blemish the family name or whatever, so that the funding keeps going through. You also, weird little thing that I'll put a pin in at one point, Chloe finds the money for like in the principal's desk for disabled people, and she was like, oh, I should steal this, and you're like, you either say no, don't do that, or you can say, yeah, go ahead. Again,
are you going to say that a majority of the people?
We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. And then after that, they also go to the pool to hang out at the fucking pool, be chill. The following morning, they sneak into the motorhome of drug dealer Frank Bowers, learning that Rachel has been romantically involved with him, a fact she kept from Chloe, who is, again, from what we know, Chloe says that Rachel and her are really good friends, and if you haven't played the Before the Storm DLC, then you have to take her word for it. And so she's really surprised by it. Max later examines a childhood photo of herself and Chloe and is unexpectedly transported back in time. I guess important. I'm reading the Wikipedia, but I'm trying to gather important things that the Wikipedia is not mentioning. So, for example, in that, when you're in Frank's place, you find out that, yeah, they're like, Rachel's involved with Frank. I don't know what the age gap there is or anything like that, but this game, there's.
I mean, they were high school.
Yeah,
well, I guess
I don't know what the
Blackboard Academy high school. Is it like
I think it's high school. Yeah, I think it's it's a private high school.
It seems very high school. I mean, it seems very Degrassi. The whole game
very
is Degrassi.
Yeah,
with supernatural powers.
Frank, I think at one point in my game did comment about it and said that he knew it was never going to work out in any way. So like, I think that they're I see what you're saying.
I had the
Like,
opposite.
he-
I feel like he was like, we were gonna run away together.
Well, he said that too, but like the thing that I'm talking about specifically was like the very end of episode 5, and like he was like coming to terms with some things that happened.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I don't know how much of it is like that versus how much of it was like he was older than her, but I definitely think that there is a gap there. Frank does not strike me
There-
as the high school student age.
How dare you?
No.
How dare
This
you.
dude seems like a degenerate.
You mean
that
the
has
you mean
just
the
been-
guy who used to do dogfights and then grew a heart so that he didn't do dogfights? You mean that guy? So
Yeah.
here, after Rachel or Chloe finds out about Rachel, fuck, I can't speak. This is where it was, I think, peak annoying Chloe for me, because it really made me go, how are you friends with Chloe? I don't understand, because the whole thing is that she's blaming the world, she's blaming everyone else, and in the car after the drive after, she says, I'm blaming my dad, and not the stepdad David, her actual dad, for dying. And this is when you look at a photograph from when you were kids, and all of a sudden you're back. The day that Chloe's dad went out the door in the car and then the car crash, and then he never came back. You then have the option to hide the keys. And I thought this was, I mean, look, Nick knows. I called it, but I still thought it was a really cool reveal that, their dad is alive or whatever, but the consequence of it is that Chloe is paralyzed. And episode 3 is the start of you are in this it starts in this universe, in this alternate reality. And so let's talk about that pin again.
Wait, no, is that the end of
episode
That's
2?
not the
Ends
end of-
episode 2, I believe, ends with Chloe's seeing the new Chloe. And then episode 3 starts.
No, that's episode.
No.
3's ending.
Episode.
Oh,
that's
what's
the end of
episode 2?
3.
How does episode 2 end?
Episode 2.
Episode
ends
2
with
it ends with you
in the
blaming
office.
somebody.
Oh, sorry. All right, so let's. Okay,
Yeah,
the
episode
information
3
is still correct.
The whole school.
Right.
Yeah, everything you said is still correct. It ends with the reveal of Chloe in a wheelchair.
Yep.
But episode 3 is like you were saying, like they're like, we're gonna go do some espionage work,
Right.
and they break into the principal's office, and they text like the side piece of
Warren.
the whole fucking story.
Yeah.
The only
Shout out
fucking
Warren.
reasonable person
G.
in the entire fucking story,
Yeah.
the entire game,
Yeah,
and
I
this
like
guy is
Warren.
just being gaslit the whole fucking game. I'm telling him I'm going to see Planet of the Apes with him. We never fucking saw Planet of the Apes.
He's ready to go 8.
We never did that. This dude took 2 fights for me. I did
Yeah.
jack shit for this
Yeah.
guy.
Took a fight
guy
and then
was like-
gave a fight. He fucking learned. He hit back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And he taught us how to make a pipe bomb. Just 'cause
straight
we were
up, just for
curious
research
about it.
purposes. He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You want to talk? Here you go. So yeah, okay. Episode 4 starts with episode 3 ends with finding out the new alternate reality. Episode 4 starts with being in this alternate reality, which I thought was really cool. Again, it's a little bit of that irony that Chloe in the present universe was like, oh, let's steal from the disabled kids, and then all of a sudden, here you go in this other universe. What happens? It's also a very simple.
I didn't even piece that together. that I did not even like think about
Yeah.
that. Which, by the way, because we glossed over it, a majority of people, 51%, stole the fucking money
Oh,
from
damn, yeah.
the disabled people. I was in the
fucking
minority.
crazy.
I said, don't do that. You're
Yeah. And so this is I thought this was like the game maybe at its most gut-wrenching, which is this. First of all, I think that this part made me understand why. Okay, let's pause. The game has really bad writing, and I really do mean that, because look, I have lived through this. I was in high school around this period of time, and we weren't really saying hella or what's up, my brother, or insert groan here. You know, I wasn't like, we weren't, those weren't common. But even then, the way they're implemented into the story is just, is not, it doesn't feel like a real kind of organic conversation.
I think that's what I was saying earlier with the voice acting, where I feel like it's not a genuine conversation, but like reading lines of 2 people that probably aren't even in the same room.
Yeah,
You know, like,
yeah.
I think it's just like they don't balance off at all, and like Yeah, I'll go back.
Well, no,
You.
because it does also have these weird dialogue reads, and essentially it again, we understand the cast is very talented, but it kind of feels like there wasn't enough kind of like, hey, here's the context for the scene, here's what's happening. And so there's some lines where I think in episode 1 someone says, what did you do? And it just sounds like a dry read. And I'm guessing a lot of this was to make it so that, we could stitch it together and then it'll work for the game. But unless you're only taking it for face value of, I'm reading the subtitles and I understand the context that way, you don't really get the inflections of a normal conversation or tone. So yeah, so that's the establishing part. But like I said, Chloe still sucks. Like, her character is, I mean, like a kid that has gone through some terrible stuff, but she needs to, like, she blames the world, and it's her whole shtick for the first 3 episodes.
Three. The best version of Chloe, I'm going to put this as plainly as possible, the best version of her wants you to fucking murder her.
Well, so
she wants you to kill somebody.
So yeah, well, here's the thing, right? So I think that's why the start of episode 4 works so well, is that it juxtaposes her other self. It's this, like, Chloe has obviously the easy thing is like blue hair versus not blue hair, but you also have like this character that just doesn't shut up and is constantly talking about something or another and is loud and whatever, to just this silence. You have the, someone who's just barely moving. The sound of is like, I think you have like the thing that keeps her going, her alive. That part, and also finding out about the, what's going on in this house in terms of, oh yeah, like I spent quite a bit of time looking around in this game, and in the long run, I don't think you remember the moments that you're looking around, but you remember the information, and I think the context is more important than what you're actually reading. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter that you're looking at a random flyer, but when I was looking through Chloe's house, and I was like, oh yeah, her parents are reaching out to everyone they know, and everyone's shutting them down. The bills are, like, they've missed however many mortgages or payments on the mortgage, and you understand the context. So when you have all of that, and you go back into that room after grabbing her morphine, and she's like, hey, this was awesome. This is how I want to die. Can you kill me? Like, put me out of my misery. And it is, I think this is the hardest, where I had to, like, I was like, oh, I had to put my controller down. I was like, hold on, you can't have me make this choice. And even then, I still think, like, it's a debatable point, but like, yeah, it's obviously a crazy position for Chloe to be in, but then for her to put it on you is also shitty, because it's like you're putting that on someone else's conscience as well. It's a lot.
So and that's what I was saying before, is that, like, truthfully, this is probably the best written part of the entire game, is this small sequence, because it feels the most genuine out of anything. Like, the idea of, like, because in the concept of, like, this alternate reality that she found herself in, she's actually friends with the bitchy girls that they don't like in the other universe, and she's super surprised. So she goes visit Chloe, and it seems like they have not seen each other in a while in this situation. So you have, like, this really nice walk where you actually, like, feel like genuinely, like, these are two friends that are just reconnecting. And then you take her back, and she's like, oh, I'm tired, let's watch a movie. And they just
Blade Runner, baby.
Silently. Yeah, they do watch Blade Runner. And it's just like a nice moment. And then, as soon as she says get the morphine, I'm like, she's gonna want me to fucking kill her. I knew it right away, because it seemed appropriate. I didn't do it. I didn't, because I do think that's shitty.
Yeah, I also didn't do it.
I did.
Oh,
that's
shit!
What
happened? What happened?
So initially, I chose the option that was like, I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
Basically, like, Max gave, like, some hesitation or whatever, and being like, I lost you in the last world. Like, I don't know if I want to be able to. Or she didn't mention that, because I don't think she divulged the time powers to disable Chloe. But basically, after talking about it in my headcanon, it was like, well, pretty much at this point in the game, Max and Chloe feel like they are, I think even Chloe mentions this, they are, like, locked by, like, fate almost. It feels like they literally are each other's like almost entire world, even though, you know, Chloe had Rachel in the time when Max was not present in her life and stuff. It feels like they're back together for like, you know, this reason or whatever. And pretty much at this point, I feel like in Max's head, she would have done anything for Chloe, even this
Sure.
incredibly shitty thing that she didn't want to do. She would go through with it because outside of, you know, those four walls of the bedroom, like, you know, all the issues that her parents are having and stuff, it never was about her parents ever. It was always about Chloe and Max. And
Sure.
so that was kind of where my decision went in that. Also, side related, I was like, well, Max will probably just use her powers and find a way to get back. So killing her in this, like, didn't really seem like it had
Sure,
the biggest amount of stakes.
Well, in
but-
general, time travel does that to where it makes everything feel
Yeah.
like there's no consequences. So
Mhm.
So yeah, we you know, Austin and I said we couldn't do it, and we go back to the moment and where we're kids again. We don't save the dad. We're back to back to reality, and
which I did like that was kind of the thing that happened. Like, it's like Max went on this little like side quest about discovery.
Perhaps you could say a what if.
It realized that what she's playing with have greater stakes than maybe what she was thinking that she had the ability to do.
Yeah,
I know that's a very jumbled and weird way to say that, but like, I like how it's like, ultimately you went on your side quest, now go put it back together the way that it was. And I kind of like that was sort of like the period on it. Like, you can see she's like miserable, like just letting him find the keys. It's like, I know what's going to happen here, and like, I can't do anything about it. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's also nice because it gives the player and Max, by, you know, because we are Max.
We are Max.
It gives us like this secret of like, we know what that would have been, and we can never tell this Chloe, because if we tell this Chloe, one, she would be like, well, you're fucking selfish. Why wouldn't you go back and do that? I would gladly, you know, like
right,
because I feel like the Chloe we know would have given up anything to have her dad back, because she blames not having her dad for all of the bad things in her life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it would also be like, by, you know, like it even shows like when you're going back in time and forward in time and changing things, it shows different pictures of all of the major
Simple
characters
way, yeah.
and like what has changed, which I enjoyed. Yeah, it's a nice little way of showing like, oh, like they didn't get married. She never met this guy.
She didn't get the new car.
You know, she did get that new car. Yeah. So I don't know. I like the idea of like, now we know.
Right.
That like,
yeah,
and it's not just like some simple like, oh, like this girl really actually doesn't like this girl, so I should go back in time and say something about that.
Or
like felt
now
more,
I know her real name, and so I can go rewind to tell her.
Stupid like that, or like, oh, did like I'm glad you liked your mom, you know, like shit like that. That's like stuff you go back in time and you're just like, how's your mom doing?
So
it was more consequence and like more of an actual like secret, like whole separate life that we know of that Chloe could have had, and we made the determination of like, oh, this life is actually better for her than this life would have been.
Yeah, despite what she says. So Max uses the photo to undo her actions and return to the present timeline. Continuing their investigation, Max and Chloe discover a bunker, which I thought this detective section was the closest the game got to actually doing detective work. I literally was like, okay, let me look at the dates, let me sync up when Frank is asking, or when Frank is going to deal the drugs, to when he's asking and where he went and all that stuff, and it's an accumulation of multiple different sources, and I think that like that was a cool payoff. That's the only time that it appears really in this game. So if it earned the murder mystery that Brittany was talking about, then this is probably where it was a peak of that investigation. But they find this derelict barn owned by the Prescotts, where they find binders containing photos and restrained young women. Among the images are photos of Kate, and to their horror, photographs depicting Rachel's corpse being buried. I will say, before we get to the the reveal. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to break it to you. This show is, in fact, say it with me, cursed. Yes, that's right. There is a part in episode 4 in the barn where you have to go climb up top, and then you tie this rope around a generator thing.
Yeah,
knock it
you make
down.
like a pulley system. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, and the game put me down below when I was supposed to be up top. Couldn't progress, couldn't get out of that bay of hail, baby. So that took 2, maybe 3 restarts from the last checkpoint. Luckily, I had Alexa look up a YouTube tutorial that did it one
Remastered version, by the way.
one step a difference, and then that was it put me out of my misery. So there was a moment where I was like, for at least 5 minutes, I was like, no, maybe this show's got to be canceled. It just doesn't make sense that everything I play comes up into this situation. But yeah, that said, right after that, you go into the $1.3 million bunker, find the photos, and one of them takes you to the junkyard that you were in earlier in the game, and that's where you find Rachel's body. It is decomposing, and a real. I thought it was a surprise because I was like, oh, the goal is that we have to find Rachel. So, and like as the dread sort of build for me, I was like, oh no, it really does. I don't think she's not making it. And then obviously you discover it. I thought that was pretty fucked up. And I think it kind of puts out some hope or diminishes the hope.
Is that early in the game, like when you're introduced to the junkyard, Chloe talks about how this is like her spot.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how the fuck wouldn't she have noticed like a big hole I mean,
I don't think she's going through because they have a room in the junkyard, but I don't think she's just wandering like a guard.
But I'm just saying, you don't think that she's just gonna like take laps or whatever? Like if you're in this not confined, but like if you're in this area, don't you think that you're gonna like kind of walk around, explore, like when you're not just sitting there like drinking beer, smoking weed, whatever she was doing? Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have easily just like made it anywhere else, like just like by the train tracks, and then they were just like, oh, we have to go by the train tracks. Like they specifically made it a place that like the player has already been introduced to, and the like big like character that you're involved with is familiar with. So it feels like
I do think that adds a different element to it, having it be there, because one, it means that you were on Rachel's body earlier in the game, which is a terrifying revelation to have when the whole thing seems to be what's going on with Rachel. And then two, again, I will give it the pass of like, it is a budgetarily restricted game. And I think part of that leads, there's a lot of things where the game's like, oh, you got to backtrack or you got to go back to the same area. And I think this is the one where I'm like, okay with the deal. Cause it's still, again, like what I said, like it has a payoff of realizing you were there before, that maybe like other sequences where like I'm like, why am I back in this school hallway again? And like, yeah, it's at nighttime, sure, and so it's a little bit different, but it's still familiar. So I think I can forgive this one more than some of the other elements.
I mean, it's definitely forgivable, especially in the heat of the moment that it like was building to the whole time. But I think it's still silly, that's the only point I'm making.
For me, it's less about how she didn't spot the grave, because like I'm kind of in that camp where it's like I think you would maybe notice. It's more so how many people use this junkyard as a spot, because like Chloe and Rachel have their kind of spot. Frank shows up there, so it's like Frank knows about the junkyard. There's evidence of like parties are thrown at the junkyard. It's like is this just like the diner? Like people go to the diner for
Frank I think
and then they
follows
go to the
you,
junkyard,
right? Because he in the last area before the junkyard, there's a shot of him, like an ominous shot over his shoulder, and you don't know who he is. But it's Frank follows you to the junkyard, I think. But I do agree the parties. I think they do throw parties, but yeah,
his RV is also in the parking lot of the school. If you explored, in the first episode. So at the end of the first episode, yeah.
Weird.
So if you explored the parking lot, his RV is actually parked there, where Chloe actually picks you up after like the whole interaction with
the fight.
Nathan and Warren. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it is very possible that he followed you as well.
No,
But either way, I agree with Nick.
yeah.
It's a small town. Like you're telling me that like every single like high school like TV show in a small town with these kind of problems and everything, they're all going to bumfuck nowhere in the woods or like down by the lake or into the junkyard or like it's such like a trope of this thing.
Well, I mean,
like,
look, as someone who's written
in
in this trope, Nightmare from the Deep is pretty much set in Arcadia Bay adjacent, and I go to all of those locations in the book. It's par for course. You got to do it. After this, honestly, I thought this was where episode 4 was going to end, and then you turned out no. There's a whole other hour left in this episode, we went from, by the way, at the start of the episode, the best of its most gut wrenching to the worst pacing of the episode is also at the end of episode 4.
100% agree.
Because essentially you go to the school dance, the big Vortex Club party, which is again being plastered all over the place. You can manipulate your way to get to the back of the party. Go ahead.
Real quick, because this is I think the first time that we've mentioned Vortex Club. No cool person club is called something Vortex. As dumb as the Vortex Club.
They're also not like because all the students are like the Vortex Club. It's got to be there. And if you talk to other people, they're like, you would never get in the Vortex Club dressed like that. And then like you go to this party, they're all fucking dressed exactly like we are. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, the Vortex Club parties is look. I wasn't going to parties like this, but I guess I also didn't go to a prep school. So
it was also at the school. It was school sanctioned.
Yeah.
Well, the teachers
That's the
show
nerdiest
up.
Fucking thing. That's the nerdiest fucking thing in the world, though.
The teachers fucking
party
shows up and he announces the winner at the fucking event.
Yeah, the dude that's fucking taking pictures of them. In a bunker, like no shit. You fucking suspect that dude should be on a list somewhere.
Well, he is now. So he's. We go through this thing. We find Victoria, who we think is like again this whole time. The subtext is that like Nathan's got this bunker because his family funded the bunker, so he's taking the photos or whatever. And so you're like, I guess it depends on if you did or not. I warned Victoria. I was like, hey, stay away from Nathan.
Oh, a quick oversight. When you were in the bunker, you found files that had Victoria's name on it.
Right.
With shots of her. So that's how you were like, oh my God, she's next.
Right. So did you guys tell her about, or were you so convinced about Nathan or Jefferson?
Yeah, I told her as well that she just had to be careful. I think also before we like leave the party, I think this was also a moment. Maybe it was me getting tired of the pacing and playing at that point, but this was also one part where a decision I made in a previous episode did come around and was immediately denied, and I felt a bit cheated by it. So I wasn't able to talk like your way onto the Vortex Club party list, right? But in the episode where you're hanging out at the pool, I did find the list tucked away in a corner,
me too. Yeah,
and you can write your name into it. And I was like,
I didn't do that.
No, I don't think you write your name into it. You take names out. So like
you can do both.
Oh, I only took names out. So for me, I was like, oh, I guess I'm not on here. I have to go get the chick.
I left the names on because I thought that would be sus, but I just added Max in to see if she'd be able to like sneak in.
But the chick's like, I don't know you. Like, well, who are you?
So like,
I'm not supposed to be here.
Was just like the person at the top was just like, no, they wouldn't add you to the list or whatever. Then you can go talk to the girl that's in charge of the list, and it's like, I'm on the list. Go check.
Yeah.
And then they go over, they check, they see the name, and it's like, well, Max, we're not letting you in. And it's like, what? And so,
really? Wait, so you didn't go to the back, or did you have to do something else to get to the back?
I still had to sneak around and like move whatever like equipment was blocking the way to get in there.
So, Sari, I'm assuming that you took the same path I did, and you did get the like on the woman's side, And she was like, "Oh yeah, we could totally go like get you better clothes, and we'll totally get you in there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
yeah, they denied me. They were like, "Nah." you're
Yeah,
not
I
Oh
got-
yeah,
going
no.
in."
that was good.
I went and talked to that woman that's in charge of the list. She went up and she's like, "Who the,
the fuck
fuck
you-"
are you?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, "You think you got power just because you're sitting behind the table? You're letting her in, and then you just get let in, and you're immediately like, in there, don't have to do shit."
Well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, we do this weird convoluted thing with like this piping that was like it was like a hose or something on the side of the pool, and it's like you have to get it so that it moves out of the way and then reverse time back
Wow.
like on the other side.
That sounds so
Didn't do it.
like it sounds like so much, especially at this point. I would have probably been like, "All right, I'm done."
So after at the end of this party, Jefferson announces that Victoria is the one that he's going to take to the trip that she won. And they later they return to the later they attend a school party to confront Nathan, who finds a text message threatening to destroy the evidence. Returning to the scrapyard, they are ambushed by Jefferson, who anesthesia. I don't know. He fucking injects Max.
Yeah, just
Drugs.
Yeah.
And he kills Chloe with a gunshot to the head. Max awakens in the bunker where Jefferson reveals himself to be a psychopathic serial killer, obsessed with abducting and photographing young women to capture, quote, the moment their innocence turns into corruption, unquote. He reveals that Nathan has been acting under his influence and accidentally killed Rachel by overdosing her. Having murdered Nathan himself, Jefferson plans to kill Max once he has completed photographing her. This is the setup for the final leg of the game, where it gets, in episode 5, totally fucking bonkers. Of the first hour or like of the final episode was like, okay, I'm waiting for this crescendo to hit, and then it's like it gets multiverse of Maxness, where it's just constant, like you're like jumping from photograph to a different photograph and then going back through time and being like, wait, this isn't right, and then going, it was like Inception. You got to keep going deeper. So this is a crazy way to end the game, because essentially, you're tied up. You look at a photo from like a little while ago, you go back, change some things, you go back, and ultimately this results in David coming to your rescue if you warn. Right? Like you have to warn him, I think, to get him to come, or I guess maybe he just comes anyway.
Yeah, you send like a text at some point that warns him ahead of time.
Well, so that this is where the game gets fucking stupid, because there's so many things that happen that it kind of make it all seems like it doesn't fucking matter. Because you go back a little bit to the party, and then you find Warren, who has a separate photograph from even earlier. Or no, I'm sorry, that happens later. I already fucked myself up. But either way, you go back to the party. You go even back to the first day that
where he's given the lesson,
Max, where he's given the lecture. And I've heard that lecture 30 fucking times in this one episode, and it didn't get better.
Why'd you hear that? Why'd you hear it 30 times?
Dude, because you go back to that like fucking like 10, 15, 20 times. And it's just like this Max took a selfie, and that's a certain thing. Like that whole sequence. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Especially I don't think I went back that many times.
Dude, you go back
like
so many times.
Yeah,
like,
I'm over exaggerating. I'm over exaggerating.
Yeah, and I know what you mean.
But like, there's a point to where it's just like, all right, we don't have to go back to this moment again. We get it, And I understand that they're going back because you go back the first time because you're like, all right, I'm going to do everything right this time. I'm going to send the text to David saying like, I know what you're doing. He's the bad guy. Get him. And then everything happens as it should. And you submit your photo and you go to be like the winner of this art contest. And you go live your perfect life.
That's the part that I didn't.
I also don't like that.
Was like, you get to the moment where like, things look up and that Max wins the contest and is going on the trip, and she's acting like, yes, this is what I wanted. It's like, you still fucked things up.
Yeah.
Like the timeline is not fixed. Like, why are you like kicking back and going on this trip? Like, I'm pretty sure like Chloe's still dead or something, like, or unless like on this version they like caught them in time or whatever. But like it made no sense the way that she was like like my job is done. It's like it absolutely is not at this point. Like,
Well, it's also interesting to like if she goes back and like stops all of this before it happens, or at least from the point we pick it up. So nothing from that point forward happens. What do her and Chloe bond over? Aside from just being childhood friends and like but like at that
There
point,
is,
like
yeah, there is a point I will talk about that later at the later that I do have a point on that. But go ahead, I'll put a pin in that for me.
but the whole game to this point is us trauma bonding in different degrees. Like we're all going through traumatic shit together. Like Chloe's going through like at the time she just thought Rachel left her, and that was her deniability the whole time. And on a deeper level, obviously losing her father. Well, I guess not even really that deep. She says it all the fucking time. Um, and then like Max is away from her family. She's by herself, and she only has a small support cast. And then we turns out that that support cast, to a degree, that included Mr. Jefferson, was actually just not supporting her at all. And like she was the big target the whole time. And that he was really pushing her to submit that photo because that's what he wanted. He wanted to get Max. Like, so it's just like you're going through all this trauma shit, and then if you get rid of the trauma shit, the game doesn't exist. And how is she still even friends with Chloe at this point in her life?
So the part of this whole time fuckery that happens by going back and forth is, I think it really cements the idea that Life is Strange would be a really good fitting visual novel. And it's mainly because it works for the sake, like you have to buy into the fact that like, hey, this is the very specific path that this story will be told with these, like, you know, going back, like these time manipulations or whatever. And stuff that where I think really like the word that I think the game sort of breaks the time mechanics for me is where like there's one instance at the front half where you're looking for a book. I think you have to return it to Kate, and then you knock over a drink onto it, and you're like, oh shit! You rewind time, pick up the book without spilling it, and it's like, oh, that's context, and so it changed. Like your actions change the or your experience, the knowledge that she has changes the context for what she's about to do next. That doesn't come back often, and so by and large, like there's certain moments where she literally like will break something or fuck something up, and it's like, well, I guess that's just how it goes, and it's like, but like, you know that that's what's going to happen. Wouldn't you think to fix the thing that, you know what I mean? Like those sort of things are the logical leaps where I felt the most kind of like, and again, you only get that because there's a gameplay there. If there was just again a visual novel, even if it's a cinematic visual novel of some kind, you wouldn't get the literally seeing her knock something over or drop something that causes this, you know, thing to happen. So anyway, I digress. But there's a lot of time fuckery that happens here. Max escapes by entering a photo and returns to the beginning of the week during Jefferson's class. She alerts David Madsen, Chloe's stepfather, and Blackwell Academy's head of security, preventing Chloe's death and leading to the arrest of Jefferson and Nathan. Max travels to San Francisco with Principal Wells in Jefferson's place, where one of her photographs is displayed in an art gallery. While there, she calls Chloe and realizes that the storm has still reached Arcadia Bay. Max returns to the moment where she took the winning photo, leading her through multiple collapsing timelines that manifest as a dreamlike nightmare sequence, which, yeah, you go through and you're flying through different kind of, you know, you're like the storm's hitting and, you know, you're like people are dying around you. The homeless woman stayed alive in my universe, but the one chick, I forget, Aubrey or something like that, like she's Alyssa, yeah,
the one that you consistently like,
save
out of the way.
Yeah. She I unfortunately did not make it in mine. I did not save her in the end.
I didn't find her.
I also didn't find her.
I think it's the flying car is what kills her. I think is I believe, but I thought though, and by the way, Alyssa, pretty comedic way to introduce like just like a little side plot of like I guess comedy in the rest of the dark experience that you're about to go through. Another thing, one point of real frustration I had was the David part where David comes to save you. This is what I was referencing earlier. Tell me how, all right? Fucking photographer boy, all right, is beating the shit out of a military. He's a veteran. He's like, and he's an active head of security. He's trained to deal with threats.
Has a gun.
Yeah,
he has a gun. He runs in with a gun.
He gets fucking whipped by a tripod. Motherfucker can't, and like, I have to then manipulate time to help this asshole fucking not kill himself? What the hell? That was fucking wild.
Quote, another famous Price. You got to check those
You
corners.
Absolutely.
And David did not check those corners going into that bunker.
No, actually, he checks the wrong corner. He goes the opposite way.
Or how about this? We simplify it even more. Why the fuck is he making so much noise if he thinks that there's bad people in an underground bunker?
Dude,
let's take it a fucking step further. Ex-military guy, I don't think they teach you to fucking bang on the walls as you're running down the stairs.
Yeah, David is a hell of a character, even if you decide to side with him or not. This last sequence, I was just floored because it really does feel like, and again, this all leads to the theory that I have, right? Like, that was kind of going through my head, and I think it's been 2 weeks, a week and a half since I've beaten the game, and this theory is at the top of my head still. But let me finish this little last paragraph. So, reuniting with Chloe at the lighthouse, Max blames her own decision to save Chloe earlier in the week for causing the storm. Having kept Max's butterfly photo, Chloe then offers Max a final choice. Use the photo to rewind time and allow Chloe to be killed to save Arcadia Bay, or to remain in the current timeline and allow the town's destruction to save Chloe. Chloe believes that there are people in town who deserve to live rather than die for her own survival, including her mother Joyce, and implores Max to sacrifice her. Max protests not wanting to lose her, but Chloe urges her to make the choice. And then you have, again, the big choice. And like I said, the game essentially boils down to, at the end, the trolley problem. But the thing is, there's multiple, and again, I've thought a lot about this, and we're going to get both mechanical about the game and philosophical as well. But the game is saying, hey, you have the option of killing one person or a whole town of people. Similar to the trolley problem, which is like, hey, you're at a crossroads at a train station or a train tracks. One person is trapped on one track, 5 people are trapped on the other, and it's going toward the 5, right? Mm-hmm. And you have the option to switch it so that it only gets the one. Do you make that choice? That's kind of like the simplified summary, right? The Spark Notes version of the trolley problem. And the game is essentially like that, but you know the characters a little bit more. You have more reasons to both be connected to her and also say, wow, she is really annoying. You know, whatever way you go on that path, that's the choice that you have to make towards the end of the game. And first of all, I guess, which one did you guys end up picking? Save Chloe or save Arcadia Bay?
I sacrificed as well.
Okay, we all did the same thing.
Yeah,
it
just makes sense to.
Yeah, and well, so it's interesting.
Chloe actually sells it. She literally sells the whole thing.
Yeah,
she's like, you should have let him kill me that day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it also kind of made like poetic sense after my earlier choice to kill her when she's disabled. Also,
sure,
or to end her life,
right.
Where it's just like, I went through it once already. Like, this is actually like, I have to do it again because this is what it's meant to be. So it made more sense to go with that. And again, like, Max never really seemed like that attached to the townsfolk. Like, I know that, like, or like that's where like the choice felt really like kind of off balance, where it's like she's very obviously invested in Chloe, but it's like I also didn't feel like Max would just like drop everything to save all the random people of Arcadia Bay. But
yeah,
for their story together, sacrificing made the most sense.
But I think there's also like a level of it though that, like, I think she does understand that her choice originally is what even put the people in danger in the first place. And just being, a level-headed person, she's like, it's my fault. I have to put myself through a traumatic event and carry that weight for the rest of my life because these people don't deserve that because of my actions.
Yeah. And I feel like if you go for the Arcadia Bay, look, some people were very mad in chat that I did not save Chloe. And apparently, again, the Before the Storm adds a lot of context for what Chloe's been through. which we don't have, and the people in 2015 did not have when they beat the game. They didn't have that for 2 years after the game came out. So speaking from this, it sort of saving Chloe and having the town go to hell is sort of negates so much of the work, the effort that you went through. Like you saved Kate, but like to what end? You know, like you saved all these other people. You had these impact on all the other people, that not just Chloe. But like, to what end does that like pay off? And like, at what point is that like, is that a mute point or whatever? Also, a little side note. I think Chloe has like throughout, she has a necklace with 3 bullets, and I believe in the game you have to save her 3 times. I don't know what the intention of. I don't know if it was like a literal interpretation of that, but that was another weird coincidence to observe. But this is the thought, right? Let me bring it all together, because the thing that the thing that's been going on in my head for the last week and a half is that I feel that the whole game is sort of is all about dealing with loss, right? Like, obviously. But right. In my head, the way that I understand this game, the whole time control, everything, it's sort of that I think that, yeah,
like survivor's guilt type thing.
Well, I think Chloe dies, right? Like that is the thing, but it's the fact.
I agree. I think me and you have the same thought. I just want to put that out there. I think we're both on the same page.
I think it's like the whole game is essentially one person who is so distraught over the loss of someone. They're like, what could I have done differently? And then you're playing it out. And so every situation you get to in the game, it's like, you say something and you're like, no, I could say that better. Hold on, let me go back. And then you say it, and so it's, I think that trauma that she's going through, it's, she saw her childhood best friend die. And I think that kind of these what if scenarios that I guess the game gets its name from is how she thinks that she could have done things differently to not lose her friend, and then realizing at the end of the day, no matter what she does, her friend's gone. That there is nothing that you can do. This is the world that you live in, and even if and there is a poetic thing of like, but what if you could give up the world? Like, just everyone goes and you just have her. But at the end of the day, I think that the reality of it is, yeah, this terrible thing happened to you because of multiple things, multiple shitty things. The school system being fucking corrupt, the negligence from staff and adults in these people's lives, kids who are drug addicted. Like, there's so many other factors that go into it. But because of that, her friend dies, and she has to then kind of suffer through, this kind of, what I imagine when you look again, when you put it yourself into that character, is absolutely gut wrenching of a feeling of, oh, I could do this, but I could do this, and I could do this, but no, it's too late. No matter what path you go down.
I like that interpretation of like it happened, and it's just like kind of like replaying it in your mind. I didn't really think of that while playing, but I could see it like being recontextualized in that way. The thing that I immediately started thinking about, though, at the end was obviously, like, it has the definitive ending. In 2015, people, figured that might have been the end or whatever. But in 2026, even having not played them, I was aware that Max was in another game and that Chloe was also in the most recent game.
That's what I was actually on my other screen. I'm pulling it up because I knew she was in Reunion, because that's literally the whole thing, is that they're back together, Reunion. But I was going to see what it was in Double Exposure, and Chloe's only mentioned heavily in Double Exposure. And they don't talk about, like, at least according to the Wikipedia, like her status or anything like that. She just is mentioned, I guess, as like a friend that she had.
I like that interpretation, and I think that it suits the game coming out in that time, and maybe just the existence of Double Exposure and Reunion you can kind of think as a more cynical, like, oh, Life is Strange had to go back to the original cast characters to
Yeah.
get people back in or whatever. But I think it's like a self-contained thing. Like I don't even know if I necessarily need Before the Storm. Like I mean,
Yeah.
if I enjoyed the game more, I'm sure that I would really want that backstory, right? But I feel like Rachel, in the grand scheme of things, really isn't even in the context of this game, isn't really an important character. Like she kind of slots into the role of like, for Chloe at least, as being like the Max replacement when Max
Exactly.
leaves.
Well,
And
even when
so
Max in the beginning comes back, she's just the Rachel replacement. And you
yeah.
kind of feel that.
Mhm.
Actually, even to a
So
degree, she puts you in her fucking clothes.
Yeah. Yeah. You put on the plaid.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. I also think like Rachel is really the thing that motivates you to just pursue the case in the first place. But yeah, I think it's just it's sort of, I mean, it's at the top of my mind, but the Stephen King story, it's sort of like that where all these people have died before this person, but then the moment it hits the main character, you're like, oh no, but this is where we pick up with the story because things we're motivated to keep on going forward. So yeah, anyway, that's the so the end of the game, you get to decide between saving Chloe or saving Max. If you saving Chloe or saving Arcadia. If Max chooses to save Chloe, she reluctantly returns to the Blackwell restroom at the beginning of the game where she listens to Nathan shoot Chloe dead. Nathan and Jefferson are arrested. The storm never occurs, and if she's sacrificing Chloe. Max attends Chloe's funeral with Joyce and David and the rest of the town. If Max chooses to sacrifice Arcadia Bay, she destroys the photo, and she and Chloe watch the storm devastate the town before dissipating. The next morning, Max and Chloe leave the ruined town together. I did watch this the other ending. Again, just does not fit, like does not work to the context of what's happening. Like you're just slowly driving through this town. It's just like, what? But like, what? How is this? Yeah, I don't think that ending really works for me. Even again, context or otherwise. But
that's an interesting thing I want to bring up real quick. We don't have to have like a super long discussion on it, but for a game specifically that goes for something with multiple endings and one ending is very much clearly like the ending, do you think that the option of having a choice cheapens that? Or like, do you want the option to have a choice, or do you think that like they should just pick the ending that feels like it's the actual ending and go with it?
Honestly, I'm not gonna reveal anything, but I had this exact same thought with Resident Evil, to where
Resident
there
Evil
is a
9 Requiem to be specific.
yeah. I'm not spoiling anything. Not gonna say characters, moments, anything, but just understand that there are two
Yep.
distinctive endings that you can choose. And when I streamed it, you can go watch it on the Perfect Slice. I chose the bad ending. Like I chose the
He
ending
did.
that is what Suri is describing in Life is Strange, where we just get in a car and drive the fuck off, basically. Like
And everything else has
was the
gone to hell in a
cheapest ending.
handbasket.
And it was so fucking much of a whiplash that all of us, it was me, Suri, and Alexa, were
Like,
sitting
what the
there,
fuck?
like we were like, what the fuck just happened? We're like, that's not how you end the game. That's not how you end the game. So I can only imagine, like, if I did that, especially after episode 5 that had such bad pacing, I would have been, fuck this game. I would have probably said, this is just above Call of Juarez. You
Because
know,
there's also, again, no spoilers, but there's an element of that to Claire Obscure Expedition 33 also,
Hmm.
where it's like an ending, like both of them like kind of work, but an ending is definitely like you're picking this ending if you want like it to be more satisfying. And I remember hearing a lot of people talk about that, and it's like in an RPG specifically, it's like if you're given the option, like, and one of them is just clearly not like the actual ending of the story, why even give the choice? And that's something that I kind of like. I don't usually care that much, I guess, like when presented with multiple endings, because I feel like that's such a video game thing, is multiple endings. And so like usually like I don't really pay it much mind, but I feel like in a game like this where it is the choice that is like a gameplay mechanic where you get those big ones where the screen goes like pause and it's just like make your choice. Like I feel like I would be weirded out if they just chose an ending and went with it, but at the same time it's like clearly that other ending where they just drive through the town, it's like okay, well people are just going to replay and pick the other one. Like it's just
Well, but
it always
that's
seems like one ending has a lot of thought put into it and the other ones don't, if that makes
but that's
sense.
the thing though. That's what's so surprising, because I feel like logically the option would be to save the town and everyone in it, but there was so many people who were like, you have to save Chloe. You there were people in chat while I was streaming like you save Chloe, or like the whole game is gone. There is this strong fan base that seems to feel that Chloe and saving Chloe is the route to take. And so I guess, it worked in that way. Like it was divisive enough where the people that picked that other option feel passionately kind of for it. But it is an interesting thought process of like, is it worth even having the option if it's not like a canonical ending, or not like a really satiating ending? And so, yeah, I thought about that too. I feel like that the inclusion of it, it really just brings you down to this trolley problem. Specifically with this game, I think with like Resident Evil and other stuff, it might be a little bit more of a debate of, was that choice really worth it, or was it just to throw a curveball in the end to get you to go back?
So are you ready? Because like I said, I did pull up the reunion stuff just to kind of see how it's worked back in. And it especially feels fucking pointless when I read this. So Chloe physically returns to the franchise in Life is Strange Reunion, which just released like at the time of
in
recording
March,
this a couple weeks ago at this point, as the secondary protagonist and playable character. If Max sacrificed her, she will be revived, which they realize is due to Max's powers merging multiple realities together. So nothing fucking mattered. Nothing mattered from before.
In the trailer for Reunion, because I went back and watched the trailers specifically, and there's kind of like an interesting hook there with that, because they show in the trailer that Chloe comes back and she has memories of the time in the disabled timeline and stuff. And so like I could understand that being like sort of like an interesting storytelling thing where this character's back and like they remember that they died and stuff like this. But yeah, it feels, I just have a bit of that like cynical nature to me too, where it's just like was that necessary to dig this corpse back up though, to have
literally
this like kind of interesting topic?
They made, let's count them, 1, 2,
5,
and then, well, I was gonna say 3 games that don't have Chloe in it. And
oh sure,
I mean, I guess 4 actually, because wait,
there's spin-offs as well, because there's
True Colors, Captain whatever,
Captain Spirit, and then there's
Captain Spirit,
and then there's also
Whatever.
Twin Mirrors and Tell Me Why.
Okay, so yeah, there's a bunch that continued the spirit of Life is Strange and its unique storytelling and similar art styles, with the kind of the same premise of like they have some sort of supernatural ability to do something that affects the world around them. They did not have to come back to Max. They didn't have to come back to Chloe, because in all the other games, from my understanding, I did not play them, but I did do a little bit of research just out of the curiosity. All of these ones that don't involve Max or Chloe in it, you only maybe get like a mention of somebody else that like had issues or powers, and that's it. There's just very vague mentioning of the idea of the first game, nothing else. So you didn't have to bring them back at all. You could have just kept making continuous stories in a universe that you can just keep building to whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I think we're speaking purely from the context of Life is Strange. I can't really argue what of bringing her back or not. I did briefly kind of encounter an interview with the game director of the new one, kind of talking about the decision to bring Chloe back. But I didn't want spoilers, so I didn't really engage with it. Though again, I feel like I knew pretty early on that the final decision would be something like save Chloe or kill Chloe, just not save Chloe or save Chloe, kill the rest of the town. I didn't think it would be that drastic, but who would, I guess. That being said, as is, it's a really, here's the thing. I find that the game is a really interesting think piece, and it has a lot of rough edges for sure, but there's a certain way you can think about the game, both in terms of like again, if you want to really get technical with it, you engaging with the game is the start of the series of events that carry out the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's this weird thing of like, if you're trying to be as kind of analytical about it and from a philosophical point of view, you could not pick up the game and Chloe's life is never you could not walk into that bathroom and like everything is everything's different. So anyway, we'll round it off. So Austin, do you have anything else kind of about the game?
I'll just circle back to my initial general thoughts. I felt like across the board in 2026 standards, obviously 2015 is different. That was a time in which Telltale was still around and was still kicking out games. And I would even say a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, this is like a new like way of telling stories in a video game like media." So, I don't know if my opinions or thoughts would have been different, especially with like not having all 5 episodes ready at once. I remember a lot of people loving this game when it did come out, and it was the talk of the town, and everyone was like, "Holy shit, Life is Strange." Um, but by 2026 standards, I feel like the voice acting is lazy. The art style is not the best. Animation obviously doesn't hold up. But there is like a compelling story in here that does hit some very good, strong beats. Especially in that episode 4 or whatever it is, where you go back in time and you affect it, and then Chloe's like in a wheelchair, and there's just a lot of good things that happen there, all the way to the end of that episode. But it still suffers from major pacing issues. And am I like upset that I played it? No. This is probably the best game in the reboot of Retrograde that we've played so far. I think we can all universally agree on that, because it has a cohesive story with
wasn't a high bar to begin with, but yeah,
it was not a high bar. You guys have definitely been picking some interesting ones. I don't know about Stranglehold yet, but but yeah, I mean it's a solid game. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people, but I can definitely see the appeal. There's definitely moments in this game where I'm like, okay, I see it. And it can hook you from the beginning, but it can also lose you somewhere in the middle. So it's not for everybody. Like I said, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Nick already said he kind of agreed with that at a 7 out of 10. It's okay. It's like slightly better than okay. But it wouldn't be a game that I would ever put back on. And actually, as a side note, because I don't think either of you did it, the collectible mode, super fucking useful. I feel like that is the best way of going about this for all 3 of us. We, occasionally like hunting some trophies. This game does it in such a way, because if you told me I had to play this entire game again to get every single like photo, to get every single trophy, I would have told you to go fuck yourself. I would not have put myself through that again. But the way it does the collectible mode is actually really, really nice, to where it sections off every episode, and you can go in and it just says like, oh, you're missing 1 collectible. So you go and you take that picture, and then you can hop right out. And all the decisions that you make in that moment doesn't affect anything else. But if you wanted to just in the moment see what would have happened if, say, you kissed Chloe instead of not kissing her or something like that, you can do that. So you can have like these small confined moments that you can go back to, and I did enjoy that aspect of it, purely as like someone who was like, I have a couple like of hours of free time, I'll just throw on a podcast and go back and get the trophies. So that is a cool feature. I enjoy that they put that in there for people like us that would enjoy a platinum on a game that we spent a lot of time in.
Okay, Nick.
Yes, good game. I would probably also, well, let me revise. Okay to slightly better than good, like Austin said. That's where I land. I think we're pretty much in agreement there. I think that for me personally, as a avid player of video games, I prefer a little bit more sauce in my gameplay. And so I had basically the perfect companion game while playing this in the form of Donkey Kong Bonanza, where I go to Life is Strange for my my story narrative stuff, and then I go for Donkey Kong for my
Pure
gameplay
gameplay.
sauce.
Yeah.
No, you go to Donkey Kong Bonanza for the story, all right, Nick? Purely for
Colleen,
the story.
she has to get to the planet core, man. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
What
you
to
have
say,
you have to
but-
get her to sing those songs.
But wait
You
till
need
wait till you get to the end where you have to either sacrifice Pauline or you can save the town. You know what I mean?
or the bananas,
Yeah.
or the bananas.
I thought it was fine TM. Like it's not my typical genre. It's not really my typical gameplay genre and like story genre. I too thought that the writing was pretty weak. I think that there's a lot of pacing issues with it. There's technical issues on my end. But like the story there, it was gripping enough. And like I think there's a weird part of people's brains, at least in America, that latch on, maybe it's nostalgia, but latch on to those high school years. And sometimes like, just media about that can sometimes scratch an itch that I think people have. So I think it's fine in that way. I would recommend it to people that like narrative and like not gameplay intensive games. I think that it's a decent fit for that. And to call out like a mechanic that we didn't really like, we started talking about it and stuff, but I do like that they show the player percentages at the end of the chapter, so you can kind of get that little post game judging of other people, be like, oh, these fuckers stole that money from those disabled kids, right? And so like I do think that that's like a fun little cherry, especially if you go through like a really like dramatic ending of an episode, to be like, okay, let's dig in. What happened? What did everybody else do? So I like that was included for sure. And it in a game that is so your choices like matter kind of structure that they have.
Yeah, I think again, the last week and a half thinking about the game, I found myself conflicted because I'll think back to Life is Strange and I'll think about the cringy writing or the weird graphics and the half-baked time travel stuff. But I guess, poetically, I guess much like how, despite me finding all these flaws in Chloe, Max somehow still likes Chloe. At the end of the day, I still think I liked Life is Strange. The memory of playing it is like, it is refreshing. I think it's willing to have conversations, like honestly tough conversations that video games don't do. And again, this is just 2 years after people were like, wait, Last of Us had like a crazy story. So like, can video games really do that now? And I do think that this is as a significant piece of art in like the history of video games. I do think it's a game you should play just to experience it. And obviously we're hoping you're watching this after you've already experienced it and everything like that, because playing it with Alexa, going through that ride, and every episode had twists that it really felt like we were going through something together, and it made you think. It made you like, even if at the end of the day you're like, oh, fuck that, you're still giving it the game's still eliciting a reaction from you, which I can't really say much about every game, but like Duke Nukem didn't do that. Call of Juarez didn't do that. I mean, to a certain degree, even like Space Marine didn't do that. Space Marine was like, yeah, the synapses were going off. The sauce was there because the gameplay is fun, but like you're not being challenged for what you feel or what you think. And I think occasionally it's good to have a game push back a little bit, even if it's not always in like the way it intends on it and it doing. So there you go. That's our thoughts.
Real quick.
Oh, sure.
I have one last brainwave that popped into my head here.
Oh, sure.
There is a live action TV adaptation of this story that is coming from Amazon Prime.
No
Do we
fucking way.
think it
It's that
apparently as
interactive
of
episode, you know?
according to the quick Google here, as of March 2026, they have the casting for Max and Chloe. So
You remember
you
when
think
like
that they
Netflix
will-
did the interactive shit where you could like pick?
Yeah, Kaleidoscope? No, that was a different thing. That was a TV show you can watch in any order, and it made like a different story.
No, it was the
I was-
split the Black Mirror. That's the one.
Black Mirror, yeah.
I was gonna ask, do we think that the show picks an ending, or are they gonna do something weird where it's like, episode
I feel
is
like
ending one?
That would
Like
be
I feel
cool.
like they take the approach of cut the black. I feel like it
they
might
don't
be
even
one of
make
those
the
things.
choice.
Well, I think that's better though. In certain situations, like when it comes to TV, I feel like it's better to let the people make a choice as to like in their own head, write their own. Like if people don't play the game and they don't know like what happens, like I feel like some people will probably end up being more creative than they were making the game. Like there will probably be someone, if they were to do that, that goes on Reddit or whatever and writes out like, this is what I thought, and it actually ends up being more cohesive and like thought provoking than the actual ending was.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I think there's merit to that, but if I were to assume, I would say that they would go with killing Chloe because it's more compelling. It's the true ending, as we all discussed.
Well, without further ado, oh, wait. Ah.
I don't think we would invite you.
Yeah, no, we weren't thinking of all of us going. Was that what you thought? That wasn't what we were thinking.
Nick, your lights off, loser. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed another episode of Retrograde. This was a hell of a pick. So obviously, it's time for the next one, and it's right around the corner, and you can expect Nick, Austin, and myself to be reunited in this very spot. That's right, we're not going to move, for a conversation about John Woo's Stranglehold.
So everybody go watch Hard Boiled now.
Yep. This is actually
go learn who
don't
Tequila is.
Don't worry about playing the game. Find out about Tequila's backstory, what's going on with him, how many bullets how many bullets does he fire in the course of this 2-hour movie?
That's the trivia question. Come in the comments, tell us how many bullets he fired, and nothing will happen, but it would be cool to see. I'll come wherever I want. Thank you.
And with that said, thank you as always for watching. Gentlemen, any final thoughts before I wrap it up?
I'll just say, keep surprising us. Keep voting. All of the games so far have, I think, been almost conclusive. Like games I don't think I would have necessarily ever played. Maybe outside of Duke Nukem, maybe, but like I don't think I would have picked that up anytime soon.
Yeah.
And definitely I don't think I would have finished it.
Mhm.
Same thing with Call of Juarez and probably Life is Strange. So I do like thank everybody who's voting and participating in those. I feel like all three of us are definitely enjoying to a degree. Like I'm not gonna lie, Call of Juarez was rough. It was a rough play, but I now have that forever and have lost that time.
I have the
So thank
scars.
you.
I have the scars to show what I've been through.
But yeah, it's just fun. It takes us out of our comfort zone. This, if you were to ask any of us, probably wouldn't have been a game that we'd have been like, oh yeah, that's definitely a game that like is in our wheelhouse that we'll play. Whereas I think Stranglehold is probably the first game, truthfully, that like seems like a game I actually might actually like play. Like I would have gone out of my way because it kind of seems like Max Payne just based off gameplay, and that sounds awesome to me.
Well, let me tell you what. I'm almost done the game. I got an hour and a
I
half
saw
left.
you're already
So,
2 streams in.
Well, it's going to be an interesting conversation. So come back next episode to hear us talk about Stranglehold. As you can see, Nick is back, so the Respawn Station podcast will return as well. And there might also be a new show coming, but I'm not going to say too much more about that. You're just going to have to hit the subscribe button and find out more once the videos go up. Until next time, just remember, kids, life is weird. So thanks for watching, and have a good night, a good morning, and a damn good time.